holiday mix and people are just taking time off. They're taking, 5 days to respond to emails. It's difficult to get in touch with people around holidays for sure.
What up, G-Body? Good to see you, family. Good to see you, family.
What's up, fam?
Oh, we got the Amex Plat back. I haven't seen it up there in the corner.
Yeah.
It's been there. It's been there for a bit.
It's usually out of frame.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. Nah, good to see you, family. Good to see you, family.
How's everyone
That
feeling?
supplier flow, the lights look even better. Because it used to be it used to be smaller or kind of set up different, the supplier flow lights?
No, I just have the lights turned on bright in the room.
Oh, maybe it's just higher definition.
Damn, bro, that looks exactly like the old, the first KOP one.
The
Yeah.
DeKalb, yeah.
First KOP one. Yeah, cool. Sweet. So, yeah, guys, any questions you guys got, let us know in the chat. We're here to help you guys start or grow your Amazon business in 2025 here. What's up, Tawfik? Good to see you. How do I get ungated with the 100 units? Yeah, so, the same way you do 10, we are still seeing 10 work in lots of cases. If you're doing the Nike one, I would recommend buying from soccer.com. If you're doing like the Nike Softgate, basically, which just go ahead and get reapproved for that. But the Nike Softgate kind of made like the entire world forget how they did Nike in the first place, weirdly enough. But it's the exact same process in respect to that. Hey guys, what's up, Big Meek? Is there any Boxem content in the course or just on YouTube? Yeah, bro. So in the course and on YouTube, man. But in terms of that's super basic stuff. Like I actually just posted a new video on the Boxem YouTube yesterday. Got a Boxem video going live probably tomorrow as well. And we're obviously happy to answer any questions for you as well.
Absolutely. What up, Kira said, how do you get paid quicker? Amazon's holding your funds for almost a month. So they should only hold your money for a month if you are brand new. And then after your first paycheck, you get paid every 2 weeks. So the other thing is just doing a little bit of FBM, right? Because you'll have less time between when you bought the item and when it sells. But there's no way to skip the 2 weeks that you got to wait for Amazon to pay. It's just how it works.
Yeah. Okay. Have you heard of the replens model? What is it exactly, and how does it differ from online arbitrage? It is the exact same thing as online arbitrage. It just kind of spun up in order to sell education about the stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that, by people who have done substantially less on Amazon than any of us have. Honestly, so it's literally just online arbitrage, Donna. Basically. And the whole the term replens means like products you can buy over and over again, basically, which on a long enough time scale is pretty much everything, but it kind of operates from the idea that of purchasing predominantly items that are always available for purchase, which is not really the case for most online arbitrage. Yeah, probably about like 50 to 75% of stuff is only good when it's on sale. Now, the longer you stick around, those sales repeat themselves, right? We got Easter sales coming up this week, and then 2-3 weeks from now, Mother's Day, 2-3 weeks after that, Memorial Day, 2 weeks after that, Father's Day, 4th of July, July Prime Day, back to school season, and everything. So, there's quite literally zero difference. Replens is basically like a niche within OA pretty much, but don't limit yourself. You know what I mean? When you're newer, buy whatever you find that's profitable.
Bingo. If you're a newer seller, eliminate the word replenishables from your vocab. You need to be finding profit as opposed to projecting products that you can theoretically buy over and over and over again, because ultimately it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything, right? A keeper can look good, but it can change in a matter of days. So just find products, validate those products, repurchase them when warranted, and keep it moving.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want the product that's always profitable either, Donna. You hear that talked about a lot. It's just, it's always sitting on the shelf waiting for you. Well, if it's always sitting on the shelf, then it's always profitable, right?
Granted,
you
want
there's
that.
going to be a million other people.
You want that product where it's only profitable on the Easter sale with a little discounted gift card thrown in. Every time a holiday rolls around, that same coupon's going to be back. Let me restock for the next couple of months. Those are your best replens if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. And there's a sourcing marathon coming up, Miles, like you said, all the holidays coming up. I feel like this is the time of year
from here on out.
May 1st, really. Yeah. Jared Scuds brought up a really good point about that last year. It's very true. I never really thought about it. It was very, very true.
Does Target allow multiple orders of the same product? I believe they do, right? Can you just keep placing the more orders for the same product on Target?
They're not the most bulk friendly, but you can keep placing the same order. You usually do 3 to 5 of the same order and see if it ships.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. You used to hear about Target as hella band friendly. It's actually people are doing some good work on there these days. There's actually a big sale going on right there as well. But if you're a complete beginner, right, do not go do manual sourcing. Right. Instead, right. Just and just storefront stock. That's going to be the way I got in June last year. Does this update? Yeah. So Big Meek, it should be completely updated in there. Yeah. What would be a good grocery product to use? Tungate, Yogi Tea from Target. Yeah.
Yep. And just trying to get us canceled there.
Yeah. We haven't had anyone like that in anyone.
I feel like Money Monday is relatively clean for the most part.
Super
aside
tame.
from people like joining and just spamming the same question or like statement over again, which I mean, it's not that bad. So
Yeah, it's been good vibes lately. Appreciate all you guys. A lot of familiar names. I see you guys popping up. It's good to see you guys again.
Yeah. What's up, Red One here? Fulfilled FBM. Wait,
Yeah,
so-
it'll sync up automatically, Gabe. All the expenses are already showing up in your P&L.
yeah, and any of you guys. Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, yeah, Gabe. If you don't have the P&L, you can just shoot us a message. We'll
Yep.
get you on the
Moz,
beta,
did you ever
which
submit
should be
that?
rolled out to everyone pretty quick here.
he
you
looks
ever
more
submit
like
that stuff for
Zuckerberg
me?
than Romer does. Yeah, we had a Zuckerberg contest recently to see what people thought, like who looked more like Zuckerberg, me or Romer, and I feel
On
like
IG, do an IG poll of it.
we did an IG poll
Yeah.
in Miami.
I think
actually, last
you
year.
take the
I
cake,
remember
Corey.
that.
I
I'm
think you
gonna do
take the
that this
cake.
year too.
We'll do that this year too. Yeah,
Yeah.
every year. It's
My
different.
sister texted me like she was the first person to think of it. She's like, "Why does he look like Mark Zuckerberg?" I was like, "Wow."
Oh yeah, because she's in our Slack channel with Grant and
Yeah,
like
she
his,
posts all
his
she
crew.
posts all your stuff.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's right.
For the wholesale guys is I assume you mean Melio, and yeah, Melio's cool. Yeah, and Corey, do you mind explaining what Melio actually is?
Yeah, so Melio is a tool where you can pay your suppliers with a credit card, but your supplier gets cash. So a lot of wholesale suppliers, they only accept either ACH or wire. So it's just a way to get credit card points and to get cash back, basically to use a credit card to pay your suppliers in cash. Now they charge I think it's a 2.9% fee for that service, but it's worth it, especially if you don't like paying cash, which I don't. A lot of times I'd rather pay the extra 2.9%, but be able to get sometimes 2.5% cash back if I'm using like a Chase Inc. Business Premier. So technically I'm only paying 0.4%.
That's like the lowest interest rate you're ever gonna get, 0.4% for 60 days, basically. If you
Yeah,
cycle the credit
exactly.
card, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And a lot of times it gives you extra assurance from save because Melio has business profiles built into their system.
Yep.
Does anyone ever use a prep center outside of a sales tax free state? For wholesale, definitely. Because there's no sales tax, but it doesn't really make sense to otherwise, except theoretically, if you only do Amazon to Amazon and buy from websites that do sales tax exempt, honestly, though, like you should still, just because like you shouldn't only buy from those places, right? So you should have one in a sales tax free state.
Yeah, you don't want to have like 4 different prep centers either, unless there's like a really good reason.
Very
Right.
Like in wholesale, there's a lot of good reasons for it because a lot of times shipping can be just as expensive as the product if you're far away from supplier. So you land a good supplier, you get a new prep center just for that stuff, and it makes a lot of sense a lot of times.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The only reason you'd have, well, if you're doing arbitrage, you would always use one in a tax-free state. But yeah, if you're doing wholesale, it's not uncommon to have a prep center specifically for a given supplier. Like we've got a really good supplier on the West Coast, and we've got a prep center in Oregon that we only use that prep center for that one supplier, right? Because it doesn't make sense to have that supplier ship all of our orders from California all the way to our main prep center, which is in New York, right? Nothing would be profitable because of the shipping we would have to pay.
Yep, and that sounds pretty tedious for just one wholesale account, but that's something that's worth it for you business wise, and getting that prep center set up because you've been around the block a little while isn't that complicated, right? It's a perfect example of just kind of like building up leverage over time. It's not a retail order. Is this a harder ungate? Nope. They've been saying that on ungate denials for like 10 years. As long as I've been doing it, and nothing changed on that. They just kind of like formally state it on the application, but as we know,
Yeah, if they didn't want those types of documents, they wouldn't ask for like account health complaints. And we had a brand review recently. They're like, "Hey, send us your retail receipts," and they're like, "All right, then those are accepted." So don't worry about that kind of stuff.
Corey, would you say the wider the better in product? So yeah, typically, right? Especially if either A, you're a new seller, or B, it's your first time buying from that supplier. Right. Assuming you're doing wholesale, yeah, go wide before you go deep, especially if it's your first time working with that supplier. You just spread out your risk, you spread out your capital. And then if that initial buy goes well, which I'm sure it will, then you can come back and go deeper in that brand or in that product the next time around.
Well, even I mean, especially as a newer seller, right? Even if the product is extraordinarily good, right? You put 8,000 when you only have 10,000 into one product. Well, what happens if
Yeah,
one
don't do
bozo
that.
seller comes in and tanks the market?
Right.
Well, so I mean, test a bunch, right? Test not just products, brands as well, right? Because we all heard about the Nike stuff, right? All those OA sellers who are fully invested into Nike, well, their business is pretty much toast, right? So go wide with brands, with niches, with suppliers, as well as products. From a wholesale perspective, one supplier is not doesn't make a business, right? Because if that supplier cuts you off for any reason, you're toast just as well, right? So diversify across some suppliers, products, and brands.
Yep. Does Walmart business allow multiple orders? Yes. So any site that takes tax exempt is very bulk friendly. Yeah. Yeah. No, bro, Kiro, facts. Me too. Me too. Yeah. No, stay
Yeah.
out,
Why?
King.
Yeah. What's Gold's issue? Why is he
Stay
hating
out.
on us?
Stay out, King. Stay out.
I don't know. Yeah, Red One was asking about products that don't need ungating. So all you guys that are new to the game, there's a good amount of brands that don't require any invoices while you're like submitting. You know, if you're having to submit a few times, that kind of thing, you can get going. Just look up auto ungated sourcing, and you'll see us specifically finding some of those brands. But I know I saw Bryce drop some for you, but like Cuddle Duds, Stafford, Athletic Works, basically a lot of retail store brands are good places to start. And yeah, just Miles and I both have good. Just look up auto ungated sourcing. It'll just be Miles and I. Just take a look at a couple of those videos.
Very
Dan.
super cool guy. 1, 2, 3. What percent of your ASINs actually end up performing like you expect? How many end up underperforming? So that's a good question. I'd say 80-20, right? I'd say about 80% of what we buy ends up being profitable. At least it might not be as profitable as we expected, but we're going to make money off it, right? And there's probably about 15 to 20% that either end up being total duds for whatever reason. Sometimes it's out of our control. Sometimes Amazon jumps on the listing. Sometimes 10 other sellers bought at the same time and now the buy box price gets tanked. But 80% of the time you should be making money on your products.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, though. And you're also giving VSCG the new guy treatment. He's been around. He's been around, Corey.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, come on.
But yeah, once you like looking at the Corey got the boot for that.
What
Looking
he
at,
asked, I answered his question. VSCG, I apologize, man. That's hilarious.
Looking at like the percentage breakdown kind of thing, the big thing to think about, and like when you're ready to go from like the 10K a month seller to the 100K a month, is when you're to that point where Corey's saying like 85% of the items are doing pretty well for you, and you're not realizing, oh, I made a mistake on this, or I bought too much of this. Once you get that point where you're like, 80% wins, then you just start skipping test orders. You start, buying 2 months, 3 months worth of stock, that kind of thing. And that's how you hit those like really big numbers.
You also start to get an idea of like the worst case scenario, right? Evaluating and using the history to kind of forecast, well, if everything hits the fan, right? In the worst case scenario, a lot of times products repeat worst case scenarios time over time. So you can kind of understand what the bottom of the barrel price profit-wise is going to be.
It's a fact. Right there. Corey, tell us what you were doing in Charlotte this weekend. You like came out of nowhere. You should have posted more on your IG story the whole time.
I know, dude.
I video, but I didn't see like what was actually going on. Fill us in.
I know I should have. I was slacking with the stories this weekend. But yeah, we just hosted an in-person meetup for our mastermind this past weekend. So Friday, we did like 4 hours of just workshops, presentation type thing at the Charlotte Whitewater Center. So there's like conference rooms at the Whitewater Center, which is cool. Then Friday afternoon, went out in Charlotte, went to a nice dinner, kind of hopped around to some of the different bars here. And then Saturday, we did whitewater rafting, like most of the whole day. We did like a ropes course, which sounds lame, but it was actually so much fun.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so much fun. And we I think we had 7 or 8 people, so it was a smaller group, but honestly, the small group was the move. Like it would have been way worse with more people because it was just super intimate. Like I got to know all the guys on the trip way better than I would have had there been 15 or 20 people. And like the feedback was insane. Like I genuinely enjoyed it, had a good time, and we're going to do a lot more. So it was awesome. Can't wait to do more of it.
Didn't Kaj go down there or nah?
No, so he didn't. The only staff from the wholesale network was me and Rebecca, right? So she organized the whole thing. She crushed it. I didn't have to do anything but show up, which was great. And yeah, we had so much fun. We did so we have this place here in Charlotte called the Puttery, which is basically like adult mini golf. It's like upscale mini golf. And, they have like multiple bars in there. So we did that on Friday night after dinner.
And of course, you got the work.
Oh, I got actually no. I think I won. But I took them to like a couple of bars.
You're talking
here.
to a man who shoots. I'm gonna guess 93 on average. Come on,
more
now.
like
Come on, Garrett.
110 on average.
Okay.
But yeah, we had a really good time. It was a blast.
Good question here from VSCG here. Is there a way to find products earlier? Doesn't storefront stocking mean you're already late to the party? That assumes that every item someone's selling, they just got on, and that item like just became profitable, became profitable and not profitable. Most listings you buy have been around for at least a year. Most things, right? So theoretically, you're technically late to all them, but that assumes that the timing is the variable, not the buy cost. The buy cost, that's where the skill lies, right? So it's not how new an item is, it's whether it makes sense to buy or not, right? And everyone can agree what good demand looks like, but where the expertise comes in is in the making those items good, right? So that's why you always hear us talk about like not finding items good, but making items good. That's where the expertise is. It's not in getting to a listing quick enough. Like VSCG, if you go through any of our videos that show winning items, typically those items have been around for a year or at least 6 months or even multiple years, right? And what this arbitrage model is built on is just selling stuff that's been selling for a while. It'll keep selling for a while, and everything. Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be like trying to sell brand new stuff or stuff that hasn't
Yeah.
sold in a long time. That
That
like,
would make no sense.
yeah, just because it's in somebody's store doesn't mean it's not a good item.
Yeah. Will auto-ungated brands sell? Because I see a lot of people showing Stafford to 30 degrees, and it scares me to try those because a lot of people are doing it. Now, Omar, imagine this was 80 years ago, brother. We'd all be in the trench
There it
together,
is.
right? We'd be in the trench together in World War II, right? Therefore, you can't be scared of anything in the modern world. We're just making some money online, right? But yeah, I mean, if the sales rank's low, people are making money on it. Now, avoid stuff where the price is going down and the competition's going up, like anything else, whether it was auto-ungated or not. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between people watching and seeing that something works and actually doing it.
Mhm.
Like, I'll out of curiosity, I'll go back and look at specific products I've shown on YouTube videos before, and like literally, no one bought it. It's like, all right, so you get worried about like ruining people's products, but like, no, people are not taking action like you think. I guess you're right. You're assuming the best of people, Omar. So be one of the people that does actually go and get the work done.
Yeah, and the way that I like to look at it is the barrier to entry is really low, right? It's really easy to start, but the barrier to success is really high because most people just don't stick with it. And I think you guys, I've shared this statistic before where there's 2,000 new Amazon seller accounts created every day for the US market. And after 6 months, 90% of those accounts are no longer active, right? So in 6 months, 90% of people fall off. So that should tell you all that you need to know about whether it's oversaturated or whether there's still money to be made.
Yeah, when they realize that you don't get the Lambo when you sign up, you got to do the hard work to.
You don't get the keys in the mail.
Yeah. And then month 2, when you realize that you're actually kind of dumb if you have the Lambo, it should be in inventory. That's a whole nother can of worms. But
Right.
Can I follow y'all socials? Yeah. So mine Split Smiles, and then all these other guys have theirs on the screen right here. So you totally should do. Let's do a little rapid fire to get picked up here. Alternate sourcing methods other than reverse sourcing. So if you're under 50K a month, you need to get better at storefront stocking, but manual sourcing your favorite retailers when they have a good discount going on, and then keep a proc finder as well. And we got a free class going down this week too that's going to show you guys exactly how to do that. It's Wednesday night. It's free. That's the only place you can get that content. It's not going to be on YouTube Live. It's not going to be on TikTok Live. So you should definitely go ahead and
a couple sourcing methods we only share with you guys live. So all you guys asking good questions about sourcing, make sure you're there on Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, Adrian said he loves coming to the weekly classes, or I guess they're bi-weekly from you guys. But yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of game there.
Got good vibes, Adrian.
Got 10 units from 32 degrees to get ungated, but they did not provide a formal invoice, only an online receipt. Yep, you just use the online receipt. There's no such thing as a formal invoice, or there's no difference to it. Yeah, every brand website will work for ungating right there. Typically 10 to 20% profit on there. Find a day to make 10K a month. I'd say right around like 50 unique items or so, but it could be a lot less depending if you have a couple whales.
You said day? You mean total, right?
Sorry? Oh,
You
yeah.
mean
Total.
Yeah.
Yeah, like SKUs in your store. Yeah. Yep. FOP and going Ross, how do you sell anything when you're not ungated? How do you go about that? You get ungated.
You get ungated.
Yeah.
Just grab an online invoice, sell stuff that's already ungated for your store. Yeah, that's like the easiest barrier to get over, man.
How much competition is too much for? So it depends solely on the velocity, right? 10 people on a listing that sells 20 times a month is way different than 10 people on a listing that sells 2,000 times a month, right? So Understanding also every listing has people priced at different places. A listing that sells at $20, you don't really care if people are priced at 40, right? So it's competitive offers is what you're looking at, and then competitive offers with relation to how much that product sells per month, right? And that's kind of the thought process of looking at, okay, how many people are on the listing, and is that too much for me to hop on as well?
Yeah, Andrew is asking about margin versus revenue as well. Yeah, Andrew. So a lot of people will write in revenue. It's like easy. It's bigger, flashier numbers a lot of times, right? So most sellers who are small scale, you're going to run like 15-20% net margins. As you scale and hire things out, use more software, that kind of stuff, you're probably closer to like 10-15%. Yeah, if you're above 10 to 15 net and you're paying everything, you're running a healthy business.
Damn, spring break still? Gold spring break here? Yeah, how much competition is too much competition for a listing? Whatever amount of competition is making the price go down. There's terrible listings with 2 sellers and there's great listings with 50 sellers. It all depends on the specific velocity of that item. Yeah. Ooh, interesting. Okay, any of y'all have heavy experience with dangerous goods? I don't have a ton.
Yeah.
I have an exclusive with the brand, and
cool,
between the
yeah.
last PO and the one that I just placed, one of the items has been classified dangerous goods. Yeah, so we'll come across listings all the time where they're classified as dangerous goods, and sometimes they're not FBA eligible until you upload what's called the SDS sheet, which stands for, I think, Safety Data Sheet. And now, if it got classified as dangerous goods incorrectly, then you can upload what's called an SDS exemption sheet. And that's basically where you tell Amazon, hey, this is actually not a dangerous good, and here's why. Sometimes you need a piece of data from the manufacturer to kind of prove that. But if you have an exclusive with the brand, they should be able to give you all of that documentation, and you should be able to get that cleared up and be able to sell that via FBA. Worst case, if nothing works and you can't get anything cleared up, then you just sell it FBM. But you should be able to fix that.
Yeah, just keep in mind you have to have like hazmat approval first. So if you're not on the wait list, just go on Seller Central's, like type hazmat. It'll be pretty straightforward to get on the wait list. And then if you FBM one of those items, it'll boost you up the wait list too.
Aaron, so he's in the mastermind. He was at the event this past weekend. I was with him the whole weekend, and we were cracking up on one of the Money Monday streams recently. Somebody joined my stream just to comment, "Hey Warner, I hope you're having a good day."
Yeah.
And we were dying about that this weekend. So he just commented on my stream. He said, "Hi Warner, good to see you, brother. Hope all is well." So, that's funny.
That's funny. What up, Aaron? How much does Amazon charge to send unfulfillable inventory back to your address? You can look up the full like fee chart. It depends on the weight. It starts like just under $1 per unit for a lot of like standard stuff.
You guys had to start over. What top niches would you go for? I'd say like the easiest, biggest one to start out is like whatever you're interested in specifically. So like I loved like basketball shoes and stuff like that. So shoes and clothing was pretty easy. There's also a bunch of like big dominant brands in that, but start with whatever you're focused on. And like, you know, I had a student interview this weekend where he knows someone who owns a tool store. So that helped him buy tools wholesale really quick. Right? You might really like video games. You might know someone who owns a local restaurant or a local grocery store or a local corner store, right? That could be your edge to get into wholesale fast, right? So start with whatever you're interested in, honestly, is what I would recommend.
Another thing to think about is just pick a niche with brands that are sold in a lot of different places, right? Because the more websites are competing with each other and offering the best coupons and that kind of thing, the easier time you'll have finding deals on it, no matter what time it is, basically.
Yeah, and my 2 cents, so I definitely agree to start with stuff that you're interested in, whether you have a hobby or just if you know a particular niche. But I always push people towards what I call the unsexy niches. So anything that people just don't care to spend time sourcing, right? Like nobody wakes up one day and is like, hey, I'm going to sell adhesives on Amazon, or I'm going to sell fasteners on Amazon, right? So I really like the industrial and scientific category. I like the sports and outdoors category.
I've had some crazy plumbing ASINs. Plumbing goes crazy.
Yeah, HVAC stuff, like, you know, patio, lawn and garden. That was the first brand direct that I think it was the second one I had, but the first one I really did well with was a patio, lawn and garden brand. They sold bird feeders and like garden poles for hanging bird feeders on, and it did really well in the spring. Yeah, I had to become one, right? I had to become one.
You're the supplier. You got like a bird book on,
I was like,
on the table.
Yeah,
like
I know about birds. Like, Meanwhile, yeah, I did nothing, but yeah.
I mean,
That's,
from a wholesale perspective, there's hundreds of different brands, small and medium-sized brands in all those niches, right? Whether it's tools, whether it's, sports and outdoors, any hobby you have, hiking, cycling, biking, right? Rock climbing, hundreds of brands in any of those. And you're not going to be competing with the Nikes, the Adidas of the world, the Under Armours of the world. Tons of opportunity there.
Yep.
Bryce asked a pretty straightforward question about credit cards, or I don't know if we got to. Best credit card if you like to travel to. Mostly just going to be the thing with the highest cashback rates. You can cycle between lots of different cards if you're not spending very much money, but at some point it doesn't become worth the effort. Just get like a Capital One Spark for 2% if you spend a lot per transaction. Chase Ink Premier, right? You get 2.5.
Business Ink Premier, yeah.
Yeah. You
Over
get 2.5
5,000,
on big purchases. Yeah.
And then if you
I
don't have
I bet
money and you're looking to, and you're just getting going, probably the Plum, right? It allows you to kind of
Mhm.
more flexible.
I bet none of us have paid cash for a flight or a hotel in a long time because of the the cash back on everything.
That's just fire.
Yeah.
I've done like
Now at Chase, I just convert it to cash. So now I do actually.
Chase is easy with that though, and they're really
Yeah, I was shocked at how easy it was with Chase. You just put in your account and routing info, and they just direct deposit your cash back. Capital One, they literally have to mail me a check, and it takes like 2 weeks every time, which kind of sucks. But
It's also suspect. You're like, man, there's like 12 grand in a check. What
I
if the
know,
number's
yeah.
missing? Or like,
yeah, so I'm like checking the mailbox every day once I request one.
Before I send a bulk amount of units to FBA, should I test 5 to 10 units to FBM on any items? So you can see that a lot of other people are doing good work on FBM. Otherwise, FBA everything this time of year. So only FBM stuff that is very clearly FBM friendly that you can see a lot of folks selling FBM. If anyone wants, anyone's like at Square One and wants a really good FBM tutorial, just search Flips for Miles Merchant Fulfilled on YouTube. I have an excellent guide from January that will get you up to speed really quick with like FBM shipping costs, supplies, all that kind of stuff. Right there.
I mean, yeah, the thought process is there, but unfortunately, with a lot of products, there's going to be different results. FBM, FBA, right? So, assuming you're getting a couple hundred units, whatever it is, 50 units, testing 5 FBM is not going to give you a very good sample size of what to expect with that 50, 100, 200 units. So that's kind of tough, but
if you want to pop me up, I'll show a quick example here.
Sure.
Just for you guys, if you're wondering if you can FBM or FBA something, just check this chart. If it says FBM or if there's blue on the Keepa chart, then you can rip it. A lot of items you won't see that at all, and you just have to FBA it.
Is it possible for an item to be 200K BSR but still sell 600 times a month? So probably not, right? If something's selling 600 times a month, now it definitely depends on the category, but any category 200K BSR is not going to be selling a ton. Definitely not 600 units a month. I mean, what do you guys think?
Sounds like Kira's probably trying to meet an MOQ or something. If I had to guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I've never seen 600. A lot of times you can get the high rank stuff selling like a lot more than you'd expect, but 600 is a pretty decent rank.
Chase, Chase Business Ink Premier, and then Capital One Spark has one as well. Chase is
the Chase Ink Business Premier. It's a little harder to get. I think you've got to have a pretty decent personal credit score to get that one. The Capital One Spark I think is a little easier to get, but I think still need a decent personal score to get. So if you can't get either of those two, then Amex Plum is probably your best bet, right?
Yeah.
What's your limit with your Chase?
I think 143.
Oh, big body. Mine's on the 85.
Yeah, mine I think total like 120. Yeah,
You put a 10K limit on your phone. Damn, Amex does not like you, Gold. It's like the lowest.
Amex was doing a
limit
lot
I've
of that
heard.
stuff I was hearing. But like
Recently, that's industry, like that's regardless of industry. I've heard like no matter what business you're in, Amex has been kind of cutting limits for a lot of
Interesting.
people.
I mean, that makes sense if you look at the credit card.
I saw
debt chart.
consumer
It's
debts
insane.
at like
it's bad.
1.1 trillion
Yeah,
or something.
it's like way worse than it's ever been.
insane.
yeah, sweet. All right, appreciate you guys tuning in. Great Money Monday. No basketball today, unfortunately. So there'll be no 2016.
what's your finals prediction?
right there? Ooh, NBA Finals. Lakers and 5. See y'all.